guys, what are we gonna do today? We're gonna do something a little bit different. My friend Melanie is here with me today, and she is going to help with my project. Let's show you what it is. Look at this guy. It's like 3 yards long. You're gonna learn several different concepts, how we do this part of the bunting, and then also how we do this cool textured part of the bunting. And we're gonna get started here in a minute. I don't know when you're seeing this, but I only have 10 kits available for this project. You are getting all of the different papers and cardstocks, and you're getting the heavy interfacing for the trim. You're getting your paints, your salt washes, your chalk pastes, your decoupage mediums, and you're also getting a full transfer, and it's the June Ode to Henry Fletcher. So we're gonna get started in a minute. Say hello, Miss Melanie.
Hello.
So we're gonna get started here in a second, and we're first gonna start with our blue parts of the bunting. Okay, so the first thing you're gonna need is your heavy paper, and this is a heavy craft paper that I am using for this. And this size is 20 by, well, you're gonna want at least a 20 by 30. So this paper happens to be 30 inches wide and just over 20 inches long. And if you're getting the kit, you're getting 2 of these sheets. Then we're also gonna use this beautiful blue tissue paper, and it is 20 by 30. So what Melanie is gonna do is she is going to decoupage this paper to the top of this paper. You are not worried about it being perfect. Hey, Miss Melanie, what we're gonna do is, I put my brush in this bag because we're gonna use it quite a bit. So if you leave it in this bag and keep it sealed, it won't dry out, and we can keep reusing it. And so what you're going to do is, I would just start slopping decoupage medium on this brown craft wrap, and then just lay it on top. You do not want to rub hard because it will rip. But if it does rip, it doesn't matter, we can cover it. So start covering that.
Anywhere.
Just on one edge, and then lay part of it down.
Amount.
Good amount. Keep going, and just start slapping it on. And yep, slap it all the way on, and we'll get I'll show you about how much, and make sure you get across the top really well.
Oh.
And then keep going, and get this whole strip done. And you need to move a little
faster.
Well, no, not real quick, but quick enough that it's not drying.
Right.
And then even if you just get down to the bottom of this, you're good, and we'll lay that part down.
Okay.
See, guys, this is so easy.
Faster,
Well, okay, here you go. That's good. Now grab your tissue paper and lay it at the end, and lay it down. Lightly press it down. We don't care about wrinkles. Okay. So go ahead and just, you want to press it down so it's all adhered.
Okay.
And you can tell if there's big bubbles. There you go. So like right here. And that's good. And if you rub it too hard, you're going to rip it. But that doesn't matter. You'll have excess that you can put back on.
So don't rip it.
Don't rip it. And you just want to make sure it's all adhered. Okay, let's pull this back a ways, and as far as you can, and because you don't want any air bubbles, and start putting more decoupage medium down.
Here, over here.
Yep, everywhere. Like do another big section. And you're going to lay that piece down. Start all the way into the paper. Otherwise, if you have any openings, you'll have air bubbles, and it won't adhere.
Okay.
I know.
Is there a special way you hold paintbrushes when you're doing this?
Nope. You know what? Whatever is comfortable for you. Since this is a more large area you're just covering, it won't matter. When you're doing littler projects, you want to hold a finer brush and be more careful. But this is not one of those projects. All right. You are doing good, girl.
Thanks. Is that enough?
Yeah, just make sure it's not dry anywhere. And just double check, and sometimes if you just, and right here maybe.
Right there.
Okay, so try to lay your paper down and see anywhere that you see, and then lay your paper down, your blue paper, over the top, and see how that is working. And I said it doesn't matter if it gets all wrinkly. You just want it all down, and now press it down. Yep. You just don't want to, I mean, you can press. Because you want to make sure, that it's really adhered, and even these little bumps and things. But if you go like this, I'll just show you, I'm going to rip it. Now, if any of the edges look like they're not adhered, just add it. So I'll let you go through these edges, and if they're not adhered, just add a little more glue in there and lay it down. Good, and the nice thing, this is tissue paper, and what we're gonna do after you've got your edges down like this, get a nice amount and cover the whole top of it now.
I didn't get under there.
You know what, and that's okay.
It's
so
okay.
because you're gonna go over the top.
So now go over.
Go over the top of it. And since this is so thin, anything you really did not get adhered is probably going to adhere now. Yep,
Yeah.
and just any way you want, just cover it all. And this is gonna be your sealer on it.
Because decoupage, you can use it as a sealer.
Correct. And use whatever decoupage medium you like using.
I like yours, actually.
So this is a little different. I've added 3 different types of gel mediums and Mod Podges to make this one, and I like it, so maybe at the end I'll show you what I used to make this.
That'd be awesome.
And it's not so wet as Mod Podge,
Right.
that it wrinkles quite as badly, but it's not as thick as complete gel that is very, very gummy.
Right.
Look at that.
The secret sauce.
It
Carmen's
is.
secret sauce.
I love using this. Look, you're doing good here.
Yay.
So, when we are done with this, so when you guys have finished this part, you're gonna do that with both sheets of paper. You need 2 of these done up. I think she's about done with this, so we're gonna let this dry and get your other sheet done and let that dry, and then we're gonna mark it off and cut it up. So maybe just wipe some of the thicker streaks. You don't need to, but then it'll just dry a little bit quick. Oh, sorry, I shouldn't have touched that. Go ahead, I'll let you finish.
So does it matter if it's not line
No,
patterned?
because it's gonna dry, it's just going to dry clear, and you've got enough wrinkles in this that it's not gonna matter at all. So I would maybe brush in some that's a little thicker, and then it'll dry a little quicker.
And remember, I'm gonna put this in the bag, right?
Yes, put it in the bag
so
and just twist the bottom at least.
Doesn't dry.
So no air is in it, and it won't get hard on you. So we have both of these done and they're dry, so now we're gonna mark them off to cut them. The easiest way, since this is 20 by 30, is she is just going to mark at 6, 12, 18, 24, and then 30 is at the end. And at the very end, you wanna draw your little lines, and then also at the top, do the same thing. You are gonna do the dimensions on this blue sheet. Because this blue sheet is, here if you have to, what I would do is, let's see, what did I say it was, 6?
6.
Here, move this down a little bit, and just do it right here.
Got it.
Do it on the craft paper if you,
Yeah.
or,
It doesn't show up on
I guess I could have given you a pen too.
Oh, like a Sharpie, or what would you use?
You know, I probably wouldn't use Sharpie on this because you probably wouldn't get it off and it's going to show. And it's at 30.
Yeah,
It's every
there.
6 inches. And then do the same at the top.
Okay.
And after you've done this, it'll make it really easy when we do the next set of with the corrugated cardboard. So you're going to take the corner at the top here and go to 6 inches, and then go right to here.
To the 6. Okay.
You're just going to cut on that line. No one's ever going to notice it. That's good.
Yeah. Okay.
And then from this one, you're going to go over to this one right here. So your top edge is going to be 12 inches.
There's this.
And that's the
we
so
skipped
you're-
that one.
Skip that one. Top edge is 12 inches. But if you mark in the center, then depending which way you want to cut it, it's all going to be a triangle. Remember, this will be 12 inches, 1 and then 2. So it'll be 12 inches at the top, and it'll be a point at the bottom. And then you can do one last one from there to there. So you only need 7 of these, but you're gonna have enough for 8, so if you want to piece another one together, you can. And there you go. So now you're gonna do is you're going to cut these out, cut on the drawn lines. So the second sheet we did of this, we're gonna do the same thing too, and we'll mark it out, draw it, and cut it out, and it's an easy way to do a bunting, whether it's big or small. Get all of these cut out, and then we are gonna start with our transfers.
Look at this, and we're also cutting the top edges off.
Okay, so we're done cutting these out, and we need 7 of them, even if you have 8. And this is the transfer we are going to use. If you've gotten the kit from me, this will be in here, the whole transfer. If not, you should use whatever you would like. And if you don't even have a transfer, you could just decoupage pictures on it, you could stamp onto it, you could do a variety of other things to decorate it the way you want for where you are putting it. So you can make it very custom. But this is what we're gonna use today. This is an IOD transfer. So there are 4 pages in this, and we have 7 bunting pieces. So we are gonna cut this apart. So what we wanna do is we wanna make sure whatever we're putting on here is gonna fit, so we don't have a lot of wastage. So we're gonna cut bits apart, and I kind of will just look at it, and I can see what's gonna fit and what isn't gonna fit. So I will start cutting. I'm gonna start with 1 or 2, and then I will let you do some, and then I will let you put them on there. How does that sound?
That sounds great. So to prevent wasting this expensive transfer, you are going to kind of judge.
I'm gonna judge, and then I'm gonna cut it apart before we put it on. Yes,
Awesome.
yes. So I will grab one of these, and I will just look, and I can see on this that I can definitely get this, probably most of this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna look at areas that look like they would make sense. So I'm gonna cut around that leaf. I'm gonna cut this bud off. I am just gonna cut through here, cut these yellow flowers off. And since this is a transfer and it's clear on the other sections, I don't have to worry about doing any fussy cutting except for where 2 pieces meet. You can see that this piece will fit on here. Now, and then what's nice is this is kind of cut off, but I don't mind if it goes over the edge a bit, because then I'll just fold it back. Let's grab something, I'm just gonna use this to work on. So if there is any extra, it doesn't go onto your table, but it goes onto your piece. If you're still not sure, now you wanna be careful with this, because as soon as you set it down, it is going to want to stick. But you can hover over the top.
That is beautiful.
You know what? See, if I cut this off, I don't mind. And I know I'm gonna have the top edge of my bunting up here, so I don't wanna get too close to the top, but I've still got it on. So I think this is good, so I don't mind just laying it down. Ooh. So you wanna hold it tightly, but you wanna get like this, see how it gets an air bubble because I'm pushing it?
Someone tried describing that, and I've never done a transfer.
So do you see how the thing is, if you let it go too much, it'll start cracking and it'll move. Wow. And you can see where it's sticking.
Yeah, I see it.
Okay, so hold tightly where you're not.
Where I'm not going to. Okay.
Because otherwise it'll start moving. It'll move on you. So here, get underneath where it's there. Go ahead like that. Keep going.
How much pressure are you putting
Let's see.
on?
See, you can see I have a bubble. See how I've made a bubble?
That's what you mean, like a wave.
It is a wave. Look at that. Here you go.
I'm doing my first transfer.
Yay! Yay, girl! Now go back. Now go backwards. Watch. Look, if I go backwards, it'll start. See, it will crack a little. And that's not a big deal on this. It's very primitive, so it doesn't matter. Go ahead. So that's one reason you have to hold close to where it's at.
Close to where. Okay. So yes.
Keep going on that one. There you go.
Wow, it's like magic.
It is magic, and you can put this on glass, on paper, on wood, on furniture, on walls, on. See, you're getting a friction, but you want to make sure you keep your hands tight so that, and the same thing. Otherwise, after you've done it a few times, it gets easier, but you want to be careful it doesn't crack and move too much.
Wow. So someone tried explaining this. Now that I'm doing it, it makes
Does
so
it
much
make
more
sense?
Yes.
And it's really the friction of it more than the
Yes.
heavy pressure of it.
So just
Keep going. Keep going. And our product, what we're doing this on is sealed. You really, really want to make sure whatever you're doing it on is sealed. It makes a huge, huge difference with the transfer wanting to adhere. And the more you do it, I've been doing this for years and years, so
yes.
the more you do it, it really...
My first minute doing this.
So you want to just, and just go back and forth and back and forth. And it will start going on. Even if you don't have a wave, it does go on. Just keep going. I'm going to let you work on that one, and I'm going to work on keep cutting some of these out. You know what? Try something else now. This is this end. Start from this end and go up now. See what happens.
There it is.
There you go. There you go. You're getting it. Okay, so the trick is now, pick this up and see if there's anything left on this paper. Go ahead. It looks like it's up. Now, where?
Right there.
Oh, that's okay. And you got it. Well, there's like one little piece here, but I wouldn't even worry about that. If there was still something stuck on this, you would line it up and then you would press it down. Now, the next thing, we do have a little extra. Well, see, I had that there so you don't have to worry.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's stuck on your table or your hand and it's hard to get it off, believe it or not.
Good.
Take your paper at the top and you want to burnish it in, especially if you're writing that little wave, you don't know that it's adhered down very tightly.
Right.
So this one I'll do, but I'll let you do the other one. So we're gonna just rub it in and we're gonna still have to seal it and we're gonna put this little guy aside.
It looks great.
Okay, and then you're gonna start number 2. Only 6 more to go. So with the rest of these sheets, we're just gonna cut them apart, lay them out any way you would like them. I'll probably take the wording and cut those apart, and there's like 2 pages with wording, and I'll probably put those on separate, different pages. So, and even little bits and pieces we can add to some of the pages after we're done to see what we have left and what we want to fill in. So continue doing that till you filled all 7 of your bunting triangles. Okay guys, look, we got these all done. They're all done. Good job, Miss Melanie. So I'm gonna show her what I'm gonna start doing and I'm gonna let her do it. So this is part of my IOD vintage textures. I really like the stamp and I like this part of the stamp the best. Don't ask me why, I just do this as my very, very, very favorite one.
Oh.
And you get 4 different textures in that stamp. Take my brayer and then I am just going to roll it over. Make sure it's juicy enough. And we're really gonna do hit and miss. You don't wanna do like a full square. So I'm gonna do this one. I'm just kind of hitting that, hitting it there, hitting it here, hitting it here. You see, and I can put it over.
I see.
And that's it. So here, I'm gonna let you brayer.
I would never have thought of that. That's just really neat.
What's nice about the brayer is, especially on fine things, if you lay this in to your ink, you can get blobs of ink in areas. And this way it just coats the surface. And you don't even have to get it perfect because you're just gonna do hit and miss all over it. Yes. And just kind of just touch it in certain areas and set it down. And you can do a lot, a little. You're gonna see what you're, see how you're doing it? You're just getting it a little bit of everywhere and you want it. Maybe add just a tiny bit to the bottom that's very boring. Perfect. Okay, let's get to the next one. Okay, only 5 to go, honey. So you are doing so good. See, isn't that just nice? And it just gives you a little added extra, but you don't really notice it.
Yeah.
And it's just enough to add.
See, how did you know to do something like to do this, you know? You were just playing.
You know what? And that's a lot of it. You just play, you do something. A lot of times you just accidentally or you don't want to re-ink your pad. So you, and so you have a ton of ink on this still. So you could maybe even use it onto the next one because you didn't, you only touched it on one side.
I did. You saw that.
So you can, but the more you do stuff, you know. Oh, look at how pretty. Isn't that pretty? Don't you really like that? See, I can see you're more and more comfortable with that stamp the further we go.
Yes.
And it's so fun. It's like if a little is good, a lot is better. No, not always, but.
Not always, yeah. Okay. How's that look?
All done. Yay, perfect. I'm gonna move this out of our way. So also, if you're getting the kit, you're gonna get one of these small little pads with, this is iron oxide distress ink. Vintage photo. And you wanna see how dark it is, because it is kind of dark, so I don't wanna rub real hard, but what I'm gonna do is lightly rub over this, and when we use
Wow.
our sealer, let me just do one for you. I have my sealer here somewhere. So this is what I'm probably gonna do as I go. I'm using my Minwax polyacrylic crystal clear sealer, and I'm using clear gloss in this because that's just what I wanted on these. Now this is water activated. So if you can see, when I rub this, I can make it.
Moving it.
I'm moving it around, but you can see how it fills in where the texture of the paper was. Where the wrinkles were, so that's why I didn't mind the wrinkles at all, because it fills it in. And this also, when you use transfers, you want to seal something over it to make sure that they stay.
And this will definitely stay.
Yes, so here, I want you to start distressing, and then I'll just rub poly around. And you can see the difference in the two already. You can see the darkness, this comes out.
Just, there's no method.
No, just rub it anywhere you want it. Just, you can rub a little harder than that if you want.
Okay.
And you saw me, I just went.
I
boo,
know,
boo, boo,
I'm
boo,
just
boo.
more careful.
Well, you know what? Anything I don't like on, if I'm going to put this on, I can move it.
Okay.
So it's really nice that you can just move it around. And actually, water would move it also. I just happened to be sealing it anyway, so I thought.
It's wet enough.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it's wet enough that it just moves it.
How's that?
That
More?
is perfect. No, it's perfect, because look, you'll see again. See how, I mean, it doesn't look like it's there, but can you tell? It really is. It just darkens it up enough. I'm pushing it into the lines, and you can start your next one, and I'll get out of your way.
Blue line.
And then we're also killing two birds with one stone, because we're sealing. I don't believe in killing birds, but
No.
we're sealing the transfer at the same time. And we're just gonna let those dry.
What is this one called?
That one is called Vintage Photo.
Vintage Photo. It's that company, right? This Tim
It's
Holtz.
Ranger.
Oh, Ranger.
Yep, Tim Holtz.
Tim Holtz.
And I noticed that even if my pad starts to not have a lot of color,
What do you
if I
do?
I spray a little water on it, it gets crazy
Nice.
again.
So it lasts a long time.
It does. And then I have like re-inkers, so I just refill my pads.
They sell the re-ink.
Yeah, they do. They
bottles?
sell the bottle of the re-inker.
So you don't always have to buy
No.
the ink pad.
And then I have bigger ink pads. These are just little ones I use. So what we're gonna do next is get to our corrugated cardboard. And those are the insert pieces I put behind this. Now, if you didn't wanna do that, you could do just these and omit that part. Look at that, aren't those so pretty? When you're all done with your blue sheets, the next thing you're gonna do is you're gonna need corrugated cardstock, and this is one-sided. So one side is flat and the other side is just corrugated. And this is 20 by 18. So if you ordered the kit, it'll come 40 by 18. We have crickets today. So on this, I'm gonna let Melanie once again do this for me. And so what you're gonna do is we are going to draw lines. And you're going to draw a little line at the very end every 5 inches. It's 18 inches tall, and you can buy rolls of corrugated paper that are 18 inches tall, and it's 20 inches wide. So every 5 inches, you're going to draw, and make sure this is lined up at the end, and draw a mark, and then at 10, and then at 15, and we know 20 is the end. Like what we did on the blue paper, but using 5 inches. Now we're also gonna do that at the top edge, also like we did on the blue paper.
Nice.
Nope. And then 20 is close enough to the end, it's not a big deal. Okay, so like on the blue one, she's going to draw these lines from this corner to the 5-inch line. And then from this bottom point to the 10-inch line. And then, once again, from there to, and then from there to the top corner there. So this is what we did, make sure you're at the corner. So this is what we did with the blue paper, but we did in 6-inch increments to make those a little bit bigger. So you're gonna do the same thing on both sheets of your cardstock, and now once again, she's just going to cut these 3 pieces out. If you do have a longer sheet, and because all you would really have needed is 5 more inches and you would have gotten 1 more. So if you're using the huge long sheet, then you're gonna get more out of it, or you will use less of it. So you're going to cut these out next. So you're gonna do this to both because you're gonna need 6 of these buntings, so I'm gonna let you cut these out.
So we cut.
Yes, and it's gonna feel a little odd because it's on corrugated paper. Yes, yeah. It is. So after you've cut all of them out, what we're gonna do is we're gonna add a fun texture to this. And if you have a kit, you're gonna get a 6x6 brick stencil that you can use, and you can move it around your sheet of...
Can I show them?
Cardboard. This is the big one, but the one you're gonna get in your kit is 6x6, but you could take any type of a stencil or any type of a texture you would like on your corrugated cardstock. Now we're gonna be doing this on the flat side. So we're just gonna do a piece, and I'm gonna start and I'm gonna let Melanie do it. This is a chalk paste, and I have mixed salt wash into it. If you get the kit, you're gonna see, you're gonna have your chalk paste, and to give it more dimension, we've added the powder salt wash. And it's kind of like a sand, and it also gives you a little grittier texture in it.
What is salt wash? Yeah, so what is salt wash?
So actually it is it's kind of a little bit of a gritty texture, and it makes your paints thicker. And you can mix it in, and I've already mixed some in here.
Cool.
And it makes it much thicker, and it gives you a little bit of a grit to it. Now with your stencil, if it's not sticking flat and flush, I'm just going to use a repositionable tacky spray real quick on the back of my stencil. Here, and I'm gonna let you lay it somewhere on here. You don't wanna cover the whole thing, just somewhere that you wanna put
right
some of it, and press down. See, is it sticking kind of well? Because if it's not gonna stay on here, when you put that on, it's just gonna blob underneath all of the area. I'm just going, you could use a credit card if you don't have something like this. So I'm gonna start a bit, and I'm gonna show you. You don't want it underneath the stencil, so you're kind of just gonna go like this. And then you can decide, you don't even have to fill the whole block in. You can do whatever you would like. So using the edge of this little rubber spatula, and there you go. And you can fill in as much or wherever you would like to get a fun brick look.
I've not ever done this before.
And I try not to overwork it because it'll want to try to bleed through the inside. So, but it's good. You're good. You'll see when you're done.
Yeah.
And by the time we're all done, you're gonna notice it's not gonna be a big deal at all. And I would just add more. You know, I wouldn't even try to thin it out. Just put a big blob and then kind of lightly scrape over the top.
Okay, like.
Right, because the more you overwork it, it wants to, yes.
Like frosting.
Yes, because it'll want to bleed underneath if you do too much overworking.
Got it. Okay, okay. Which is what I'm doing. I'm overworking.
You know what? But it will be fine. And then you just decide how much or how little you want. So Melanie, you've never done this before. So see, Melody can do this.
You can.
So one thing nice is we're in the nice hot Colorado sun. So if you put it outside, it'll dry fairly quickly. The thicker you put it on, the longer it takes to dry. But it does dry fairly quick. It's good. Oh, no, you just put whatever's left in that, you put back in your jar and you seal that up. And then very quickly, you're gonna grab the edge of this and pull it up. And I will take that from you, because go ahead, just pull it straight up. Look at that. You did amazing.
It does look like bricks. It looks like bricks.
Oh, that's what it's supposed to. Good. That worked. So now we are going to let this, we're going to do this to all 6 of our corrugated cardboard pieces. And we're going to let them dry and then we're going to move on. Hey guys, look. So this is dry. Look at what a great job she did on this. And you're thinking, what is she doing? What am I doing? So you know the back side is already corrugated. This is the front side. This is what we're gonna do next. I'm using this fine knitting needle. I'm gonna get this started and then I'm gonna let Miss Melanie do it.
Okay.
Close to the end, you wanna use something very thin. If I get close to the end and I pull this, see how that opens? I'm gonna start to rip.
What?
And I want to just hit and miss a little bit of, and I want to be careful. You don't want to bring this needle down or you'll make a hole in the back. But this kind of helps to move it a bit. And I want it sporadic. And then like when I get down, let me show you when I get down to here what I'm going to do. I am going to go just like right to where
the brick is.
The brick is, but I don't even want all of it pulled off. I just want to like hit and miss. And at the bottom, you can do the same thing. Let me show you one that we've already done up. I took quite a bit off, but you can see there's still quite a bit in there. I want to leave it, and it reminds you of an old building that had a brick facing, and then a lot of the wood part of the building got really, really old. It looks like that.
Wow.
So I'm gonna let you do this, and if you can see where these little holes are, right there, you can put something in, and that's what I found. Just be careful you don't go down like that, otherwise you might make a hole.
So don't go too far down.
Right, and then just start ripping, and then you can have as much or as little taken off as you would like. But it's kind of another fun look. And it gives you more, and you can...
How do you get?
If you want right there, I would just go... Sometimes what I'll do is, if I want it there, I'll just
go all the way
start...
down.
Or I'll just poke through. I'll just kind of very carefully poke through.
Cool.
Without going all the way through.
I want to see that as reference.
And then each one that I've done... okay, here's another one. And you can see I left a little more. So you can leave it. You can do as much or as little as you would like on this, but I wanted that old look. And I found that if you try, and I had tried this the first time, where I did this on the other side, and it did not work well. It bleeds through everywhere because your stencil will not set straight, and you have all these openings, so when you go, it starts bleeding through the crevices. So you really have to do this first, and then take your paper off. And this is the easiest way I've found to do it. But you may come up with a lot of other ways to get in there. Some people just use their fingernail and start picking through it. Or you could even use a really, really fine skewer stick, something like that.
No, this is working really
Doesn't
well.
that work really well? I thought it did too. And you're just gonna get a fun look with this. So I'm gonna let you just keep working on that. Yes. And then when we've gotten we only did 6 of these, so when we have all 6 of these done, we are gonna paint this in a white color. The whole thing is gonna get painted. So you can decide, depending on what color tissue paper you're using for your original bunting, or if you've just painted those, you can decide what color you would like this to be.
What are we doing?
So what we're gonna do next is I am gonna paint this with an off-white paint. You can use any color you like. And I just wanna cover this whole thing. And I'll show you what I'm gonna do next after I get
What kind of paint is that?
This is, it doesn't really matter for this first coat. This is DIY. The second coat's gonna matter, and you're gonna see why, because we're gonna be wiping it back. I am just painting the front side, that's it. Now, what I'm also gonna do very carefully, this is a little brighter white. And I'm just gonna kind of brush that in while this is wet.
Did you just double dip from that painting color to this?
Yes,
You
I
don't
did.
mind?
Well, this is almost empty, otherwise I wouldn't.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, if this wasn't almost empty, I would have put it into this cute little bowl that I brought. Here you go, let me give you a
You have
brush.
another- okay.
Yes, I do.
Yes. Many hands make, what is that?
A mess? Too many
Yes,
cooks?
No.
Too many cooks
More
ruin the
hands
broth?
makes the labor less or something like that.
And just slap it on. You saw how I did
Okay.
it. You want to make sure it's in the kind of in the crevices. And then we're going to seal it, and we're going to put another color on top and wipe it back.
Is that a ketchup bottle you're using?
This is called a FIFO, and it means first in, first out. So you pour it in from the bottom,
Oh, so it's actually like something you see
and
in
it's
an art
sealed.
supply
Yeah.
store.
See, I'm just adding a little bit of white, not much, just a little bit. You can see I'm not really careful with this part.
Right.
Because your chalk paste is dry. And then when it's wet still. So yeah, as soon as you get it covered, just kind of, and you can saw how I just slapped it on in different spots. It doesn't, there's no rhyme or reason.
Whoops, that's too much.
You know what,
Dang
it doesn't matter. Here, look, it's perfect. It's perfect. There you go, you get to do the last
Look
one.
at that.
Beautiful,
Yeah.
one more.
Oh, I do this one.
Sure, you're doing so good. And we're gonna let these dry. Perfect, did you double dip?
I didn't double dip.
Then I'm just gonna,
I don't know why that just doesn't feel not right.
it doesn't?
No.
Because when you're just going straight down and pulling up, but I normally don't do that. I'm gonna take these brushes and wash them out while we let these dry, and then we're gonna seal them, and we're getting close, guys. Okay, guys, so when your bricks are dry, we are going to seal them very well. So I'm gonna use my polyacrylic, my Minwax again, and I'm gonna seal all 6 of these. And you can see I am not being wimpy on this. And I really want to make sure it's filled in nicely. So we're just going to coat these. You can see how I'm
Just
yeah, and I
slathered on
want it on there, and I want it really sealed well. If it's not windy outside, I could put these out and they'll dry like in minutes. Our bricks are dry. So what we're gonna do now is I am taking my letterpress gray and I watered it down. I am gonna go all over. And Melanie said that I wasn't being a hog if I did all of this. She said it was cool.
you do it faster.
Oh, it doesn't, but it doesn't really matter. Now, but so far, do you feel like it's been fairly easy?
It's
I'm gonna add a little
been
more.
very easy and
I mean, it's just
Yeah.
taken us some time, and it's a little, you know, you have a little bit of a struggle curve when it's 98 degrees inside of the building. I mean,
Oh,
actually,
I
that's what the
can
thermometer
fan
says, 98.
fan you.
You're so silly. So this is the part that it's important that I'm using my DIY paint, and this is a clay-based paint, and it's going, when it dries, I will be able to wipe it back easily. A lot of other paints, especially if they have sealers, you're not going to be able to wipe them back at all. Ooh! I just did these, guys. I just posted pictures of these, my new patriotic images. And this is my last one. So we have 6 of these done, and we're gonna let them dry, wipe them back, and we're actually getting really close. We are getting really close on this project. Yeah, it does take a little bit of time because it is so big, but it's really not hard, and you're getting a really cool wow project. So let's let this dry, we'll wipe it back, and we're gonna put it all together. Okay guys, so when these are all dry, what we're gonna do is wipe them back. Now, if you had baby wipes, wet wipes, that would work the best. But you know what? Could you hand me that packet?
Yes.
I don't know, I mean, out of the massive case I had, this is all I've got left. And you know what?
They're dry.
They're dry.
Oh, you can stick them.
I'm gonna stick, you know what, I'll use a couple in water. But I wanna make sure they're not so drenched it's taking everything out, but I wanna show you, look. So this is gonna wipe back. I don't want it to go in my crevices, so I don't want it so wet. But you see when I go like this, it wipes back and the dark part stays in the grooves. Isn't that kind of cool?
That is so cool.
Now, what happens is if you keep using this, you're just moving the gray. So you really need to move your wet wipe around. And since we ran out, I have fabric here and I'm just gonna have to keep wringing it out. And I need to call for an emergency, oh thank you, an emergency visit of wet wipes. Thank you. I'm gonna use this one next. Look at that. See, isn't that cool?
So neat.
So you're getting it in the, but see you can, I do this on a lot of my projects, whether it's clay or other projects, anything that's got a texture in it, you paint, you put a sealer on, but the trick is using the DIY paint for the top layer, because that paint will wipe right off until you seal it. And I'm gonna get just a little brighter in some of these bricks, but otherwise I think I'm just gonna let this set. Can you see such a huge
Wow.
difference on what you get? So with DIY paint, it gets lighter as it dries. So when I seal it again, it's going to get more vibrant, but then I will seal it because you don't want it to all come off.
So what are you using here, Carmen?
This is just a piece of cloth. I ran out of my baby wipes. I just took a piece of cotton cloth and I am just, you want to wring it out. You want it wet, but you want it wrung out. You don't want it completely drenched. And then you're just going to carefully wipe over, and you want to be careful because you don't want to rip this is paper.
Right.
And you're going to take as much of the gray off as you want.
Look, I'm seeing the detail of the
Isn't that cool? The parts that you didn't, that's what you're wanting, is everywhere that you didn't rip the paper out, you'll see it. And where you put your brick stencil, see, doesn't that look cool?
That looks really nice.
So when you get as much out as you want, these should dry pretty quick because it's just a light layer of water. And then we're gonna do some antiquing over it with our vintage photo, distressing. And then we're gonna seal it. Okay, so let's get going. So we're gonna take our vintage oxide, or our vintage photo distress oxide, and we are just gonna, like, hit and miss again, just rub it on here, just like that. That's it.
What if it's not dry from the wet?
Then let's see if we can find one that's a little drier. Here's one that's a little bit drier. If it's really wet, what you're gonna do is this one's kind of wet too. But it's okay, just do a little bit of hit and miss on it and you're gonna be fine. And I'll let you continue on.
Oh, you're putting a lot.
I didn't mean to, I just hear it. Maybe it's just my pad. You know why? Because this is wet. And if you get the pad wet, it will come out very, very dark.
Right.
Any way you want, because you know what we're gonna do next? We're gonna use this and we can move it off of there. We can use our Minwax polyacrylic crystal clear sealer. And when I get this on there, I can move it around. And let's see how well I do with that. So what I'm gonna do is I can move some of that around too if I don't want it quite as dark, and it just moves it. Now let's see how well I do with this one that I way over antique. See how it's coming out already?
Yes.
Melanie, are you thinking, I don't want to do this again. This was too much. The project was fine. It was probably just putting up with me.
It's been great. Oh yeah, you doubled.
I was like, you know what? I looked in there and saw that and said, I'm not going to tell her.
What do you do?
I'm not worried about it. I use antiquing on everything. If there's a little in there, I don't care. I really do care about my product. I just know certain things, how it'll affect it and how it won't. And this is one that's not going to matter.
You're not sweating the small stuff.
So that one's already done. So we're just gonna let these dry. And when these dry, we're gonna attach them to our bunting, and guess what? We're done. So what we're gonna need next is something at the top to hold our bunting together. What do I usually use? If you watch my videos, I use drywall tape. I love drywall tape. I thought I'm gonna try something different now. So I'm gonna use, this is a heavy interfacing, feel that. Interfacing that you would get at a fabric store. And it's a very stiff interfacing. Think about if you were doing...
Not meshy.
No, It's, let's say in curtains, in the top of a curtain that's probably what this was used for, the tops of curtains that are very, very stiff, and it holds it stiffly. I believe it is, how many inches is that? Maybe 4 inches?
About.
So it's about 4 inches wide. You could use drywall tape. And you know, we've done that. So what we're gonna do first of all is fold it in half. Here, I'll let you start doing that for me. Oh, you're so good. Well, I get my cold and frosty drinks. See, oh, I feel like I'm a slave driver now. So just fold it all the way down. I'm gonna do that first.
How long? Just like the whole thing?
Oh, the whole thing.
Okay.
That's 3 yards, and that's what we're gonna need. So if you get the kit, you're gonna get this in there too. But anything you can think of that you would like to use. You could use cardboard, heavy shipping paper,
Or
drywall tape that's already got the folds in it. It'll just be a little thinner, but it's, I just thought this would be really nice because we're putting so much on it. I decided I was gonna use this.
What is this called again?
It's interfacing. Okay, so what we're gonna do is, you got a little line there, and we're gonna start at one end. Careful, you don't want it to cut you like a paper cut. And you could use any color on it that you want. I'm gonna use French millinery. And you're thinking, that's purple. It's really like this, it's really pretty. So we are gonna be doing this, and then we're gonna do our little, let me start, I'm gonna let you help me, do our quick double dip. And I'm not as worried about the back as the front. And with this is kinda, I'm gonna use my mister. And it helps move the paint. That is really neat. See how it helps move your paint? So that we can start, I'll let you finish doing this side and just keep going. I'm gonna move this over and I'm gonna let you move down, and I'm gonna start my double dipping.
Okay.
And you don't need to be perfect, even if some of it, like that's even good.
It's the message of the day. You don't have to be perfect.
No, we don't want it to be perfect. I don't want it, like, look, see what I'm gonna do here?
Right.
I'm just gonna kind of lightly, just kind of go through it. And then we're also gonna put some antiquing on it, some distress oxide, so it's not gonna, this is almost gonna have like a light lavender gray look by the time we're done.
Really pretty.
Comes out so pretty. And if you notice, it is 3 yards long. And what's really cool about this DIY paint is that when it dries, it gets super, super, super light, but when you seal it again, it gets very, very dark and vibrant. It's beautiful.
Ooh.
That's the type of a fabric or an interfacing or anything like that, you know your paint is gonna wanna soak up so much that using water works really, really well.
Where did you get that?
This one's called Water Girl, and I got it at the DIY A-Go-Go store. But different people carry them, and they're actually called misting bottles.
Misting bottles.
Yeah, it's a little different than just a mist spray because it continues.
Yep.
I want to say this one was like $16 or $17 for that bottle, but you know what? I will use that forever, and I love that it just keeps going. You know what? That's good enough. Here, I'm going to lay this out, and we're going to let it dry. So now my top border is dry. I'm going to refold this again, but part of the line is still in there, so it's not too bad. And then what we're going to do is find the center point of this. Did you get it off? Okay, so let's find out where the center spot of this is. And this is the easiest way I found to do it. So we're going to find about the center, and that's at that fold right there. This is my center line. I'm going to look at and see how I want my pieces lined up. We'll do perfect. So I'm going to give myself just a little bit of space, and my center line was right there. So I'm going to put this right in here, and then I will put, I'll just start with these two, and here's my center line. And I'm literally putting about 2 fingers in between each. And I'm going to actually sew these. If you didn't want to sew these, you could actually just glue these down, use a heavy-duty glue. You could use staples. I'm just going to put just a little bit of double stick tape. Do you want to tear a little piece on the top of each? I'm not pushing it all the way up, like halfway up. And just to kind of hold it so when I sew it, Now you would think I'd put the other ones in and sew them all together, but it was so thick and it wanted to move so much. I added the other ones to the back afterward, like the other layer of the one with the bricks on it. So I'm just gonna attach all these down, and I'm not going all the way up to the top. I'm going to about right here with these. Oh, I'm so lucky I have someone that's helping me with all of this today and doing this. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna stick all these in, and I'm gonna go over to my sewing machine, and I'm just gonna do a quick zigzag stitch right here, all the way down. So it's gonna be closer to the bottom edge here, my stitch. So we got this sewn on here. I have so many other videos that I've done some sewing on paper that you could take a look. It's just a quick zigzag stitch. And you gotta make sure you have this kind of in there so it doesn't slide around while you're sewing. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna take our distress sock side again, and we're just gonna go over, I'm gonna do this side and Melanie's gonna do the other side. And we're just gonna go over like the stitches, like this, and over this a bit. Here you go, ma'am. So I'm going to start on this end with my poly again. And once again, you can see I'm just going to rub it. And it's going to go into my stitches. And I'm going to seal the end of this. I'm going to do half of it. And Miss Melanie's going to do the other half. Because she's so good. And we're going to see if our bricks are dry yet. See how it just moves it?
That's right. You still have to do, are you going to sew those on?
No, those we're going to put on differently. So here you go. Here is a brush for you.
That for you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, you are so good. You're a master now. I'm going to go get our bricks and see if they're done.
Okay. Done.
Okay, so everything's dry. Look at this. So what I'm going to do, and you can decide how you want to do this. You could glue this. I am taking these and putting them in between, but I'm pushing them all the way almost to the top, in between each one. I'm using my Tim Holtz tiny mini stapler, and I'm just going to staple this in. I felt like it was a little hard to hold all the pieces. So when one of you guys get all yours put in, all at once sewing it, you tell me the trick to having it all stay together. So I'm just gonna staple all these in, and that's it. At one end and make sure I'm grabbing it.
It looks beautiful.
Does it look okay?
It looks so good.
Or we staple like right around there.
So on the seam.
Yeah, on the seam, just right, yeah, and then right over here maybe, right here. So you just want to make sure you're still grabbing that. And what's really fun is if you want some really pretty colored staples, you just use like a Sharpie or a silver pen or whatever you want, and you color the top of the staples, and it makes your staples look so pretty on packages. And these are such cute, pretty little staples that you want them to be.
You're just doing 2.
I'm just doing 2. You could do more. You could do less. You could do whatever you would like. So if you didn't want to, you don't have to add this piece. I just thought this was so fun, and it didn't make it look like your normal, average, everyday bunting. So these blue ones are actually a little bit longer than these to start anyway, but when I put this one in, it's only to about right here. These ones I have going all the way to the top, and I wanted them shorter intentionally. I wanted them to peek through just as a backing. So hopefully this gives you an idea. So even if you don't want to do the extra layer texture, you could just use just the corrugated paper and use the other side that's already, it doesn't have any paper over it, and just use it that way. Or just rip some paper off the front, or you could try it with the extra texture. It just reminds me of an old garden brick wall, or an old garden with maybe the corrugated metal in the brick. Ooh, we're gonna hold this up. I'm gonna hold this up. Let's turn it around. Hey guys, we're all done. Melanie, thank you so much for joining me. I hope she'll come back again. I hope I didn't drive her too crazy. I hope you guys enjoy this. I hope you give it a try. Do as much or as little of it as you would like. I said we have a couple kits available for this. but I tell you everything that you need. So you guys too can do this. I'd love to see what you come up with, but whatever you do, have fun.
Have fun. It was great to be here. Thank you, Miss Carmen.
Thanks for helping me out, Miss Melanie. Go have fun, guys.